And it is another Wednesday night, and we are live here with another edition of the Great Cherry Show. And this week, I actually remembered to put us in the show right after the intro, so good for me. Yay, producing. I am, of course, Greg Cherry, alongside Jeff Meacham. And, I enjoyed the show that we had last week. As ill-prepared as it might have seemed that we were, it actually ended up being a better show.
Right?
Because typically we have the shows where we talk about very specific things and we were very structured. And last week we were just like, screw it, we're going to talk about whatever we want.
Yeah.
And it was far more enjoyable. So guess what?
Agreed.
We're going to do it again.
That's right. We're doing the same damn thing, mother truckers.
We are. We talk about whatever we want because
that's right.
It's our show. It is what it is.
Wednesday,
we're doing both of the Dakotas, North Dakota, South Dakota.
We're doing Dakota. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you said there. I'm sorry.
And Wednesday Q&A as always. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about whatever we want. There's no Dynamite tonight, because they're airing it on Friday, and then Double or Nothing's happening this weekend.
But
I figured I'd bring it up because you're wearing the AEW merch.
Well, that enables us to do the predictions thing here in an hour, which is nice. We can actually do predictions. The card's pretty much set. So for once, the predictions team over the Jeff Meacham Network and our affiliates can actually talk about the full card in the middle of the week, because there's a very highly unlikelihood that if you want to throw that at the producer, the guy there, that they're going to throw more shit at us Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. So that's always good. Exactly. I'm looking forward to it. I'll tell you what. I told the guys last week, I'm actually thinking about not pirating this one, actually putting money down for it. So if you can convince me to throw money down for it instead of trying to find a way to pirate it, I love it. So,
I almost threw down money for Revolution with the whole
that was good.
Exploding barbed wire death match, because I was just so intrigued to see what they would do. And the match itself wasn't bad.
Right.
The ending, we all know what happened with the ending.
Was what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. But they tried to make chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what. And
to their credit, whatever actually went down with that whole explosion thing, Kenny and Don and Eddie and John actually really glazed over it very well and actually managed to make chicken salad out of chicken poo. So they actually did a really good job with it. So I'm okay with how they've progressed since Revolution. It's been a couple months. I actually watched Revolution in my sister's garage office area doing the live watch along. So that shows you how long it's been, because I've been out there since. So it'll be nice to be able to watch the pay-per-view in my own office and do my own thing here. May or may not have Noah Foster along for the ride for that show. We'll definitely have him along when we talk about this baby back here next weekend. I don't know if you saw Power yesterday. How about Trevor Murdoch, man? Would you think watching WWE programming, whatever it was, more than 15 years ago now, that Trevor Murdoch would be the number one contender for the World Championship at any promotion, in 2021 even? So it's awesome. I'm happy for Trevor.
One of those things, you look back at the 2006 Rumble, the only Rumble he was ever in,
right?
And the announcers described him as looking like a big bottle of milk. So 15 years later, for him to get a shot at the NWA World Championship, did not see that one coming.
And I'm so tickled for Trevor. He is a product of Harley, and we all know how much I revere handsome Harley Race. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's modeled so much after Dickie Murdoch, who I have respect for on love. Never got to meet Murdoch, but I know Dusty revered him, and we all know how much I revered Dusty. So very, very happy for Trevor. And Twitter blocker or not, Nick Aldis is the greatest world's champion, in my opinion, of this era, not named Roman Reigns carrying a blue belt down the aisle right now. I'll tell you that. Roman's impressed me a lot since SummerSlam. I've said that since SummerSlam. But Nick has been the only guy to make me think that your reign, your 1,000 days will ever be met in this modern era. Nick's 50 days away. And I don't think Trevor's going to beat him next Sunday. I'll say that right now off the top here. So, but if he does,
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
be one of those things that it could shock the world and say, because
Yeah.
think about it, Rob Conway was a former NWA World Champion
Yeah. I
multiple
mean,
times.
exactly. You talk about that era. You talk about that era that Murdoch was in the Royal Rumble. Conway was barely a joke on the lips of WWE announcers back then. My goodness.
Mhm.
And he went on, to go to Japan. And, in the era of the NWA where, goodness sakes, NWA was a train wreck thanks to a gentleman who promoted out of Texas and, almost ran the company name to the ground. Conway went, I got this, no worries. And he and a lot of the Japanese guys that held the championship in that time period really kept the 10 pounds of gold afloat for sure. And the brand name as a whole kind of, nose above water at best. It took Billy Corgan to pull them out of the drink, if you will, and get them back on track. Thank goodness. Like I said, wrestling is good right now, and people still tend to crap on the business. I don't subscribe to that. WWE creative on Monday nights anyway definitely has things to be desired. No question about that, right? But I think the world title picture is surprising, if not strong, right now. So I'll say that about the WWE Championship picture right now. The Universal Championship picture, dude, line somebody up that can actually make me believe in Roman losing, and I will sit up and go, ooh, look. And God, the NXT Championship, the Karrion Kross, I was so bummed when he had to forfeit the first time. He seems unfreaking stoppable now. He and Balor went to town yesterday and lit that black and gold brand up for that time they were on screen yesterday. Holy moly. Even though, Kross beat him yesterday, Finn Balor, as they're saying in the chat room there, very much the MVP of NXT right now as far as his unbelievable ability. And when you compare how NXT went yesterday to how ungodly long Raw seemed, even though it was still 3 hours, just night and day.
It definitely is. It's a difference when Raw seems like a chore than when Raw is, because you remember when Raw was super enjoyable back in the day, Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, even the early PG era, dare I say.
Yeah.
It was still 2 hours though. And the 2 hours flew by. Once they went full-time 3 hours in 2012, I might have been one of the few that did not immediately like it.
Right.
Because I was like, 3 hours every week? Like the 3 hour specials were one thing that they did from time to time.
Right.
But to make it 3 hours every week.
Yeah. And
that's a problem that Nitro had. And it wasn't even around as long. Nitro wasn't even around as long as Raw's been 3 hours.
No.
Raw's been 3 hours for almost a decade now.
I was going to say, you have to figure, Raw went to 3 hours 11 years after 3 hours being one of the reasons Nitro sank so freaking quickly as it did. Like, if you are not destined to learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it. That's what we was told in school, right, Gregory? There you go. I mean, it really is that simple. And again, we've all heard the reports. Every time I talk about Robbie in 3 hours, I bring up JBL on Rosenberg's show talking about, the ad revenue thing is what it is. And he's absolutely right. And they are absolutely right. They can't cut a third hour out without the ad revenue going completely in the tank. However, I would love to hear the demos, if you will, if you want to talk about that stupid word, between how many people are actively watching Monday nights, be it on USA or on like I watch on the Fire Stick on one of the sites because I can't. I don't want to be up to 11 o'clock at night watching Raw because God, I'll fall asleep early, which I did Monday night, by the way. Or how many people are watching Tuesdays on Hulu like I do regularly. Yeah. I would love to see the difference in that audience because I actively wait until Tuesday so I can only have 90 minutes of it because, as I've said, 90 minutes usually means WWE is going to show you exactly what they feel is important about what happened the previous night. Correct. So I'm almost conditioned by WWE, okay, this 90 minutes was what I need to know about going for pay-per-views.
Or if you want to condense it even further, go to the YouTube page a day or two later and get the WWE Top 10. It's 5 minutes, and you catch up on everything.
I was going to say, I only don't do that because more often than not, part of the 90-minute presentation is actually going to have a decent match or two. on the show. I mean, we had a really good pair of matches Monday night. We had Cedric and Shelton, and we had Woods and Riddle. And again, I'm not going to praise Riddle all that often, so hit record on your YouTube screens, kids. But Riddle and Woods had a great match. They really showed me something, especially Matt. And then Cedric and Shelton, I mean, if you have Cedric and Shelton, you're never going to go wrong more often than not, because Shelton Benjamin, one of the unsung heroes of the last 2 decades, if we really want to be honest, in wrestling, period. Whether it's when he's WWE or when he's been in the Indies, he is an unsung hero of how awesome wrestling can be when you have a dedicated guy like Shelton Benjamin.
Well, I don't want to interrupt, but you mentioned ad revenue earlier. And speaking of that, as much as I want to transition into that, super chats below. If you want to join the conversation right now with our stream of consciousness as we go along in our chats,
I like
send
that.
us
Very good.
chat. The link should be, I can send it in the to all the chats,
and of course, we're not going to say no if you super chat here on my end, because we'll still read on the air.
Right.
It's just going to Luck of the Draw 1 on Streamlabs, gets it to Greg immediately. And, also my link, streamlabs.com/Jeff Meacham, I get the money right now, which is never a bad thing. So there's that. But yeah, I saw the comment by Curtis, Raw, rematches almost weekly. It's like, yeah. And that's a problem too. I get that the COVID era is still a thing, right? But how many people are in the back area twiddling their thumbs, doing nothing?
This guy, where's the super chat button? If you're watching on mine, I just sent the link. It should also be a pinned comment. In the comments, you just click on that link and it'll take you to the page where you can do your super chat.
Yeah. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, you can super chat automatically on there for what that's worth. If you're blocked on there, which I don't think you are, this guy, if you are, my bad, I'll take care of that when we're off the air here. I don't know why you would be. If you're watching on my Facebook or where are we at here on my Twitter, it's Streamlabs/Jeff Meacham. Very, very simple. And, if you want, and again, if you're using Streamlabs and you want to donate a specific amount in the anal, make sure you factor in the stupid 59 cents where the hell they charge. So, because
it varies depending on how much.
I know.
Right? I think it's like some kind of tax or something.
Well, I know, like, for example, people have been sending me $10, which again, I love that. They've been taxed 59 cents every single time. It always comes in $9.41. It's like, crap. So, so anyway, but either way, we appreciate it because, man, the money thing with equipment, I've been very lucky this week so far. Yesterday's show with Mikey was sketchy. It was a little bit jumpy, but a lot of that's where he is in the country because he's still getting set up over there in Tennessee with his setup. So I'm very lucky to talk wrestling on Monday with how the stream went smoothly. Been doing good with you here the last couple of weeks as far as no real hiccups, which has been nice. Recording with JJ's gone very well. So, but equipment can always improve, and so we appreciate every little bit helps. But yeah, going back to Raw, it's the problem with Raw is there's more cooks in the kitchen than food on the plate because they're not using all the ingredients that they can in that soup, and they're just it's funny, you mentioned it's a chore. Raw is war used to be awesome, but very much Raw is chore now. It's like it's difficult to get through the 3 hours. So I hope that changes with and like I said, we're not going to see it shrunk down. It's not going to happen. So they need to find a way to have less filler and more thriller on Monday nights.
So Josh Mansfield donated, and he put Brown's Rule, which I'm aware of what happened last season.
You're in the wrong damn room for that, homie.
Just remember, Josh, you're taping Jack of All Trades with me tomorrow, so I might decide to I won't do that.
He just makes sure he gets that Browns and stuff because when he's on the NoDQ review, Virtue will spare him the slayage.
Yeah, Virtue's a Broncos fan anyway.
Well, yeah, but he is a Broncos fan, but he still stays loyal to his Cleveland area when he can. So yeah. Anyway,
Josh says, "Give Shelton the WWE title now." Should have been give Shelton the WWE title 15 years ago.
I was going to say there's a category of that. Shane McMahon should have been champion already. Shelton Benjamin. There's a few people.
And everybody, Josh won't. Josh understands the Shane McMahon thing. Like, he's on my side with that. Like, he understands the whole Shane McMahon thing. He also says Xavier shines so well in that match versus Riddle. Balor is my current GOAT in WWE. Love you both. We love you too. I do want to say this about Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods has been completely underappreciated during his time in WWE. Everybody saw him as kind of like New Day's lackey for the better part of a couple years. Right. They need to realize Xavier can go in the ring.
Oh yeah.
And he's a great talker. Like, Xavier Woods is the complete package of what they're looking for in a superstar.
Yes. Exactly.
Why Woods doesn't get a singles title shot? Like, if he gets a shot at the United States Championship, or heck, he wants to be King of the Ring, give him a shot to be in the King of the Ring tournament.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like, Woods needs a good singles push. It's always Kofi. And right now on SmackDown, it's E, because he's the only one over there.
Right.
When is it going to be Woods' time? He deserves that shot just as much as the other two.
People forget how long Woodsy's been around.
He's been around since he was Consequences Creed in TNA. That's been almost 15 years ago.
We have a show coming up, JJ and I, on Dads, called the worst champions in history. I will say there was discussion. I'm not going to reveal JJ's picks or my picks. There was discussion heavily amongst both of us about Team Pac-Man, because Adam Jones didn't do a damn thing as TNA Tag Team Champion. Woods was the MVP of that team, and he wasn't even technically part of the team. He had to fill in because Tennessee wouldn't let Jones wrestle in the defense of the title later. So, Consequences Creed definitely was the helper for that. And then, he and Jay Lethal actually became tag team champions legitimately on their own later. But people forget that because he's been, the background guy and the trumpet player of the New Day. And it's like, he's so much more. So much more.
And he's even entertaining in that.
Yes. Big Baller G. Go ahead.
Yeah, Brett Storm donated £5. No message, but thank you for that, Brett. Brett, I will also see you tomorrow for the Jack of All Trades taping, along with the other two contestants, which one of them, and you don't know
the other. Out loud, so yeah.
Yeah, so well, I meant they know 3 of the 4 who are competing.
Right. Big Baller G with the $10. We appreciate that. G. He says, I'll be making my return starting at okay. There it is. At the beginning of July, I missed some videos with you guys. What do you plan? Hey, never be sad about being away from us when you're planning something like that. I mean, my goodness, that's tremendous life shit right there. So
plan your wedding, and I will see you in September, brother.
Yes.
Which I still need to order with my tux.
I actually am very excited. I'm gonna throw this out there now for everybody. Unfortunately, flying back east and hotels and all that is just so crazy right now that I won't be able to go out to G's. However, I don't remember if you remember her, Greg, but my mutual friend through Lisa, our buddy Sammy, who lives up in NorCal, I spent Money in the Bank 2013 with her, her and her family watching the pay-per-view. She's getting remarried out in Tahoe. So I will be heading out there in October, ironically enough. I just thought about that. It's the weekend Halloween Kills comes out. Interesting dilemma there. I'll find a theater in Tahoe that's showing the movie, because I am not missing that after all the hassle we've gone through to get that damn movie on the screen. So I've never been to Tahoe as far as like actually staying in town and hanging out. So I'm looking forward to it. I hear Tahoe's beautiful. I always hear great things about the city and the lake and everything. So looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
And they'd be good. And of course, I'm talking to Lisa yesterday. She was invited because, they're all friends. $1,200 something to fly from Toronto to California. And it's like, virtual attendance is a great thing, I guess, because man, that's bonkers.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, my flights and all that back there wasn't near as bad. But you remember, she's A, crossing international borders, B, crossing COVID borders, which is still crazy for them. So I get it, but it just sucks that people can't attend because of all the shenanigans going on in the world. But but again, going to a wedding means normalcy, man. And that's been a huge thing for this country, especially in the pandemic era, is that, normalcy has been so sought after that it's almost as valuable as gold and, everything else in the world. It's crazy. And yeah, flight prices are definitely going back up. I was able to fly very luckily March, just before the pandemic hit last year, and I flew to Vegas. It didn't cost me more than a couple $100 round trip. That same flight now, ugly. Can't even imagine what it would cost to go see Bailey right now.
Well,
is that right?
You mentioned like you got the vaccine back in March or April.
Started getting it. Yeah, I finished up earlier this month.
Okay.
So,
Jen and I have been talking about taking care of ours this week.
There you go.
Just because we're going to be going on, and that's another thing. Like, there will be a week where there will be no Greg Cherry Show because I won't be in the state of Pennsylvania.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So either we get a week off, or you host it, or something.
I'm sure we'll find a way to fill the Wednesday at 7:00 slot somehow, one way or the other. But yeah, I'm not sure how they are as far as will they let you fly or whatever without the vaccine. I'm not sure.
We're actually driving down, so it's not going to.
Oh, okay, well there you go. No, yeah. Unless I want to, check your car for shenanigans, you're good to go. Just don't be like RVD and Sabu and have stuff in the car with you driving across state.
That won't be a problem.
I know. You're as strange as they come, brother, and I love it. So Colin says, my sister just flew this weekend from Chicago to Nashville for $17. Wow. That's
a damn good flight. I wonder if that's is that with points, or is that what the actual cost of the flight was? Because
I would love to have that broken down in an itemizing list, because that would be a tremendous. Because Chicago and Nashville, granted, not super far, same time zone. Interesting. We'll have to chat, Mr. Cleaver, because yeah. Anyway. Okay, so by comparison, Lisa was telling me even from Toronto, flying to Orlando is only $400. So, I same coast, same time zone. So, it's weird how they break it down. And I don't fly very often for a lot of reasons, and I don't understand how they ration out this costs this and that costs that. So I don't know. I'm very, very ignorant on that front. And like I said, the last time I flew across the country was to y'all. So, it's been 8 years since I traveled that far. So I don't know how it breaks down now. I'm sure it's crazier now.
Oh, I'm sure it is too.
So, but, speaking of crazy, speaking of shenanigans, we have to get to our favorite segment, because it's just, luckily they're both short lists, and that's why we decided to do both of them rather than just the one. Weird Law Wednesday, kids. It is that time.
Yes, and we're hitting all the Dakotas. We're hitting North Dakota, South Dakota, Dakota Kai, every single Dakota.
If I can get ahead of Dakota Kai, I am all about that, for the record. She is, you and I talked off air. She is very much becoming in the same category as Sasha was when nobody else gave her an opportunity in their head except you. Underappreciated, undervalued, I dare say underutilized in the wake of Raquel's ascension. Yeah. So,
you figure, though, they're probably down the road going to go with a Dakota versus Raquel match.
Got to. That moment at War Games should have been the moment of to the moon, please. Because watching that moment at home was just, that was visceral. How many, air sucking, like she just turned the world on fire at that one moment at Tegan, man. So good.
Yeah. And
she's been consistent ever since. So, and much like her consistency, I'm sure the weirdness of the laws in the Dakotas are just as be consistently weird as the rest of the country, but we shall see.
Yeah. So we're going to hit up North Dakota first, because
North Dakota. Why not?
So in North Dakota, it is illegal to lie down and fall asleep with your shoes on.
I don't know about it being illegal, but practicality is definitely a thing there. falling asleep with your shoes on, unless you're planning to hop out of bed and get moving, like go in the car and go, it can become very uncomfortable. I've had that happen to me where my feet like swell in my sleep, so it hurts. So,
I mean, I guess.
And again, I'm out of shape. I'm fat, so I have issues with that. So there you
go. Also in North Dakota, this one makes absolutely no sense. Beer and pretzels can't be served at the same time in any bar or restaurant.
Okay, that litigator, that lawmaker should be shot on site. Like, that's ridiculous. Beer and pretzels are the bar standard. Like, come on, man.
Well, I'm not sure if this is any relation to this, but you mentioned shooting. It is legal to shoot an Indian on horseback, provided you are in a covered wagon.
That's got to be an 1800s law. That's got to be Jesus. Like, there's no way. With all this shit that, people have advocated for the rights of Native Americans, that would even be a thing now. My God.
Yeah, that's straight out of Oregon Trail right there.
Right? I was going to say, man, that is like who survived with what? Yeah. Wow. And if you don't know what Oregon Trail means, you are too young for the room. I love you, but man, yeah.
Yeah. In Devil's Lake, North Dakota, New Year celebrations are somewhat bland in this town, as fireworks may not be set off after 11 p.m.
If I lived in any other part of the country, I'd be like, bummer. But where I live and the people across the street setting off fireworks this week, not next week, but this week, and scaring my dog into my lap, literally in this chair, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was so heartbroken like last year because it took Bing out, and as soon as the firework went off, he crawled under our porch. Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah. I felt so bad because I had no idea that anybody was setting anything off.
Oh yeah,
it's like July around here is like ridiculous.
Yeah. Because we've had to buy my
June and July.
I was going to say
all the damn time.
It's awful. Yeah, it's this neighborhood has gotten really, really bad. What's so stupid is we've had fire that this because I called you from the locations I've had to bounce to when our house got evacuated because of fire danger. The shit. How are we gonna have pyro going off around here? We got a brush wash right here over in the corner here of the house. People are so freaking stupid. Not even ignorant. They're just flat out effing stupid.
I think we've realized this doing this segment over the last year. Right.
We've had to buy my dog I forget what they call them, the sweaters that, keep them calm during stuff like that. And it's just ridiculous, and like you said, as far as the fireworks last year, totally illegal. You're not supposed to have them or anything. I'm watching from my sister's loft doing my live stream of, I think it was Disneyland's fireworks show that summer, whatever it was. And I'm watching out in the distance there, the San Bernardino Valley, fireworks going up. I'm going, that's illegal, but nobody's stopping us. Like, the hell, folks, come on. Yeah. Anyway.
In Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, here we go with Fargo.
It's a doozy.
I'm sure.
One may be jailed for wearing a hat while dancing, or even for wearing a hat to a function where dancing is taking place.
Might as well put the cuffs on me the minute I cross the city line. That's it. I don't go nowhere without my hat. So That's it. Well, then again, if you see me dancing anywhere, I'm probably already enough drunk where I'm not going to care about handcuffs anyway. So, for what that's worth.
Now in South Dakota.
There we go, South Dakota. All right.
No horses are allowed into Fountain Inn unless they are wearing pants.
Well, there's a really bad horse dong joke. I'm going to let that pass. But, horses wearing pants is probably a good thing. Anyway, yeah.
It is illegal to lie down and fall asleep in a cheese factory.
The fact it's actually written down in the thing just makes me chuckle.
How many people fell asleep in a cheese factory?
Well, I mean, if you're in Wisconsin, it's kind of a given. You're going to be in a cheese factory somewhere in Wisconsin. Yeah, Dakota is surprising.
It's not
I was going to say, yeah. That's really weird.
Freaking Dakotas.
Cheese factories in those. That's tremendous.
Well, this one aged well.
Uh-oh.
Movies that show police officers being struck, beaten, or treated in an offensive manner are forbidden.
Oh boy!
I don't want to touch that one with a 75-foot pole.
Well, I mean, the only bad part about that is Leslie Nielsen can't make a diamond in the Dakotas. So there you go.
I'm just saying it hasn't aged well.
Well, see, that's why SummerSlam '94 was in Illinois and not the Dakotas. And if you understand that, I love you. Thank you.
If there are more than 5 Native Americans on your property, you may shoot them.
Another aging badly, just badly.
Dakota's still with the laws from Oregon Trail.
I was going to say, completely
you may
random.
Give them dysentery if you're.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh man, tremendous.
Before we get into our last law, we actually have another donation here.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
Once it loads up, it takes some time.
It does.
TV Nelston donated $3. Thank you very much for that. What are
sir.
your guys' plans for this weekend, and how would you book an Xavier Woods WWE title win? Oh, it's this guy. It's this guy experience.
Oh, okay.
Plans for the weekend and a Woods title win.
The weekend for me is, I'm going to be covering the pay-per-view on Sunday, so I'll be here.
I think I'm going to a picnic. I'm either going to a picnic or I'm going kayaking. There's a possibility of both, depending on.
Sounds like a very diversified weekend. I dig that.
It is. I think Saturday we're helping my sister-in-law clean out her garage, which I don't really care to do. But hey.
Sister-in-law I've met or no?
What's that?
Sister-in-law I've met or no?
You're speaking way too fast. I didn't understand.
The sister-in-law that I met or no?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a big garage. I can see why.
As far as booking an Xavier Woods WWE title win, I have had this scenario in my mind.
Ooh, okay.
If I were to book Xavier Woods to get his shot at WrestleMania, I would have him win the Royal Rumble, which seems like, oh, well, that's easy. But there's a reason why I would do it. There's a reason why I say Woods should win the Rumble. The final 3 people in the Rumble should be all 3 members of the New Day.
Ooh.
And then they all look at each other like, oh, crap, we have to fight. We promised we would never fight, but it's down to us. There's nobody left.
Beautiful.
It could be like the 3 of them and like Corbin or something. And then they all hit their finishers on Corbin and Big E tosses them or something.
Right.
And then it comes down to the 3 of them. I would eliminate Kofi first.
Yes.
Out of those 3.
Yes.
And then have it come down to E and Woods.
Beautiful.
And I've gone back and forth with who I would have win, but in this scenario, it would be Woods. I would book him to win the Rumble. It would almost be like the same as Kofi Mania, but he would have that support because he won the Rumble. He's guaranteed a title shot. So it's like he's never had a world championship shot, to my knowledge. I don't think he ever had a TNA title shot.
Don't think he had a world title shot in TNA. No.
So it would be his first world title shot in 15, 16 years of being on TV.
At least.
Love
it. Why it got to be Corbin? Because Corbin's an easy heavy, for one thing.
Corbin, I think, is a good heel for that position. Yes. If we're gonna, I'm a Corbin guy. We
both are.
I'm not happy about Corbin being in that situation, but okay. If it makes it any better, Corbin eliminates 6 people in the Rumble.
Right. Right. Yeah. Corbin has a Kane moment. Let's move on.
Big, he would ditch the King Corbin thing by then. He would be the lone wolf again. He'd still be bald. It would be okay. Right. And it's not taking me off topic. It's fine.
We love that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So that's what I would do there. And then I would have Woods win the championship from, I don't even know who would be the champion. It wouldn't be, he would win the WWE title, not the Universal. So he would have to.
Yes.
He's on Raw, so wouldn't have to switch brands. And whoever he takes it off of, he would have a great match. I mean, if it's anything like his match with Riddle, he would be a great technical match, and he would be the underdog in the situation, and he would win the title. I don't know who would be champion. I don't know who would be a good person for him to take the title off of. Sheamus might be a good option. And I don't think it's realistic for him to beat Lashley. I don't.
No.
I love Xavier Woods. I do. But him taking the title from Lashley, I'd be okay with. I just wouldn't expect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And as long as Lashley's champion, I don't see that scenario playing out. So they got to get it off Lashley before they even try to even remotely pull that trigger, for what that's worth. So I'm totally, I will co-sign in the booking. We'll get to our last state law, and then we'll do our Q&A thing here at the end.
Yeah. The last one, it's pretty much the same as the if there are 5 Native Americans on your property, you may shoot them. If 3 or more Indians are walking down the street together in spearfish, they can be considered a war party and fired upon. What is your problem in the Dakotas with Native Americans?
So if you are a current Native American and you're going through the Dakotas, you may want to make sure you have the fact that a sign in your car says, "It's 2021, leave me alone." Jesus Christ.
Man.
Woo!
That was almost an uncomfortable one.
I was going to say, man, those Native American laws in the Dakotas, man, those are, I mean, and again, I was going to say that isn't Dakota Kai part Native American? That's just a weird coincidence.
Well, she's from New Zealand, right? So
yeah, there's all kinds of like the Aborigine folks down there, so it makes complete sense. It's bonkers. You know, this guy. It's funny that you mentioned that we are the only 3 real Corbin fans here in this little group of the 3 of us, you and us 2 here. Like I've said, Baron Corbin's presentation in NXT convinced my boy, who's now 13 and is like, what the hell was I thinking about that? To trade in his Kofi Mania card for a Baron Corbin fan club card. So, you know, there was potential in Corbin, most definitely. They called him up, and then they completely shot him out of the sky. So, yeah.
All right, let's get some questions, and you guys can still feel free to super chat to make sure your question
gets please do
beforehand. Let's see here. I know questions are asked.
Just ready to go.
So. Brett Storm. From our conversation earlier, they described him as a bottle of milk. How do I not remember that? I watched that Rumble recently. So it's during his entrance when Trevor Murdoch's making his entrance. Jerry Lawler alludes to the fact that he's not getting a son in Miami because the 06 Rumble happened in Miami. And that he's very pale. He's not quite Sheamus pale, but he's still pretty pale.
He's about Jeff Beecham pale. Let's be real there.
Yeah, let's go to that. But that's where that happened. And yes, I'm pulling specific lines out of random Rumble matches. For me, shouldn't be surprising, but it's still really obscure.
I like G's second question. We'll go. I say go with that one first because I actually want to talk about that because I was talking with JJ about that one. I love the presentation right now, and I love that they made that a way for DiBiase to be back on television. Because man, I love $1 Million Man in my life all the time. I want DiBiase on every show ever. I love Ted DiBiase. And I was telling JJ, Silver's looking good on him. The silver hair and the silver beard becomes him. He actually looks pretty decent. He cleans up well. But yeah, I love that Eli Drake got involved because we all know how much I love my boy Eli Drake. So if this means that Eli Drake is going to be the $1 Million Man's new guy, the $1 Million Champion, whatever you want to call it, I am okay with that, 100%.
Maybe a slight, a smaller version of the $1 Million Corporation.
There you go. Hey, you know what? Honestly, I think it was better when it wasn't the big giant corporation. Like, I liked DiBiase focusing on Austin. Yeah, he still had the 1-2-3 kid, even though Sean was in and out of rehab toward the end there, so we really didn't have Sean Waltman there for the last part of it. But I'd be okay with DiBiase focusing on just Drake. LA Knight. Gotta start minding my P's and Q's about that. But we'll see how it goes. As far as Cameron himself, he's growing on me. Like a weed, but he's growing on me slowly but sure. I like him.
I enjoy Cameron Grimes too. I've really enjoyed his presentation. Probably in hindsight, he probably should have won that tournament instead of Jordan Miles.
Yeah.
ACH, because ACH kind of shot himself in the foot with that.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Not a knock against ACH, but he kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not going to defend like the shirt design because it was really terrible.
Yeah.
Whoever, we don't know the whole story of the approval process and everything, and how
we don't. No.
So we can't speak on that. Was it a bad idea to make a shirt like that? Yeah.
Most definitely.
But it was a very weird situation, and he just.
Right. Before I move on to Chris's question, because Chris actually asked me this question on Monday, and I forgot to ask it because I meant to address it to him privately because I just didn't think about answering on the air. But I will raise you this comment, James, and say instead of Grimes, have it be LA Knight. DiBiase managing LA Knight and Frankie Monet, dude, take my money. DiBiase can take my money now for that. Like, really. God darn, that sounds tremendous. Chris, I don't see the whole living Lily doll thing being a thing with Bray. They really have to think about what they're going to do next with these guys now, because the Bray thing is kind of just up in the air now, and with Alexa being off TV for a little bit now, probably in all likelihood, I mean, losing a pet, especially a long-term pet, sucks so bad. Mm-hmm. And she had Larry Steve forever, so I don't know. I mean, she's a pro. She'll probably be at TV Monday, but I mean, they're doing their celebration for him right now on Instagram. So if you guys are watching that too, that's totally cool by me. I just don't see the whole living Lily doll thing being a thing. I think we're all, and again, this is me projecting my own frustration. I think we're all trying too hard to make Bray Wyatt work, because we want it to work so bad because he's been so dicked around so much. Yeah. It's just so frustrating for all of us.
Has he? He's been WWE champion and he's been Universal champion twice. So has he? I understand the Goldberg thing. I understand him losing to Orton at Mania in like 8 minutes. It's like, but is the bloom off the rose?
Okay. The thing with Bray is, yeah, he's been champion 3 times, but the way they've booked those 3 championship reigns has been completely atrocious. He was not pushed as the guy. He was pushed as the horrible Hell in a Cell no contest thing. And then he only won the championship when he went to Saudi Arabia, and they had to kind of like bury the title win in that controversy. He loses it to Goldberg, which is never good, especially in 2020, 2021, whatever, because, the bloom is definitely off the Goldberg rose as far as long-term fans. That goes without saying.
Damn near say his best reign was his week-long reign from SummerSlam to Clash of Champions or whatever it was.
And that only was short as it was because Roman Reigns is a freaking juggernaut and should have happened for Reigns a long time ago.
Bray didn't take the pin.
No, Roman he did not. Exactly. So, and then the other reign with when he lost to Orton at WrestleMania previously with that god-awful ring mat thing was he's been champion 3 times, like you said. And has he been dicked around? Yes, because his reigns and his title losses have been completely anti-growth of character against him. His greatest moment in WWE on pay-per-view so far has been the Firefly Funhouse with John. And that was not capitalized on at all because John left and Bray kind of hung there and did nothing for a while. He went to that program with Strowman that went pretty much nowhere other than him, like you said, getting the title and then losing it right away. So I think Bray's career spiral the other direction has been much more off his fault than Wyndham Rotunda's fault, by far.
I also don't think, I'll get back to that in a second because this guy donated another $1, which thank you for that. Do you think the reason Vince hasn't booked Bobby versus Brock is because he's scared Brock won't look strong enough against Lashley?
No.
I don't think that there has been a reason to do Brock versus Lashley until now. Yeah, there's always been the dream match of Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, especially when Lashley first debuted. Everybody was like, oh, I'd like to see him go up against Brock. And I want to say this in the most, this isn't racist way as possible. People used to call him Black Lesnar.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
of the MMA connection. Yeah. Yeah.
Lashley is still jacked.
Yeah.
Like Lashley might be even more jacked now. Like it's ridiculous how in shape this guy is.
Right.
And he is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
So
and as far as no reason to have Lashley versus Brock, it's like any time before. Now you got to remember when Brock left, Lashley wasn't even part of the company yet. When Lashley started catching fire, Brock was struggling to get his finishing move be able to be used in Japan. And then he became the UFC champion. They weren't in the same company. They weren't in the same profession for the longest time. And then when Lesnar returned, Lashley was in TNA/MMA. They haven't been in the same company ever. So, and the fact that Lesnar right now is having a grand old time, growing that beard out and being farm boy and being parent up there in Canada, there's no reason for him to come down and break quarantine right now. But quarantine's almost over. And SummerSlam is always a big show. SummerSlam is where Brock always tends to shine. Let's not forget that. And if they're going to have SummerSlam like they're talking about at Allegiant Stadium out there in Vegas, which I'm probably going to go to, Lesnar versus Lashley sounds okay for me to throw my money down. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I would love to see Lashley versus Lesnar. I'd love to see a series of matches between them because that.
Yeah.
It's what's the Big E quote? It's like big meaty guys slapping meat or something like that.
So yeah, it's
something like that. It's probably not that, but it's
right. But just to have those two guys
out of each other, and you love to see it.
Right. It's crazy.
But briefly going back to Bray Wyatt for a second, one of the things that has hurt Bray the most, I think, is the pandemic era.
Oh yeah,
because you need a crowd to make that gimmick work.
I'll say that
to like have that like aura, like Bray when he came out as the Fiend at SummerSlam against Finn,
right?
There was that aura of holy crap, what am I seeing?
Right.
You didn't have that with the pandemic era. You might have had it a little bit when he first attacked Alexa,
right?
But since then,
well, right. But by the same token, the gimmickry and the special effects of the Thunderdome has definitely helped the character also. So it's definitely a catch-22 when it comes to him and Alexa both.
Yeah.
As far as the overall presentation of the gimmick. So for what it's worth. Oh yeah, I was going to say I got the link
because I know you got to get going.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna hit really quick here. Who had a better shot at the world title, Kona Crush or Ahmed Johnson? I'm going to say Crush because I thought his heel gimmick in like 94, 95 could have been something.
Well, Kona Crush, as far as like, multicolored, bright color Crush, no. Heel Crush, like you said, absolutely.
I consider Kona Crush. I consider that the heel Crush. I don't consider Kona Crush babyface Crush. Like,
okay,
does that make sense?
No, it doesn't because
if we're talking both baby faces, then Ahmed.
Right. I'm pretty sure.
If we're talking heel Crush, I would say Crush.
Yeah, because they called babyface Crush Kona Crush for a while there because he was from Kona, Hawaii, and it was a whole big thing. Once he turned heel, he was part of the Orient, so whatever. But if it comes down to babyface, bright, multicolored Crush versus Ahmed Johnson, Ahmed by far. But when they turned Brian Adams back heel, like he should have been all the damn time, and he was the powerhouse heavy for Mr. Fuji, dude, him and Yoko could have gone. And that would have been tremendous TV. Tremendous stuff for sure.
All right. Well, I know it's a little early, but Mr. Meacham has another commitment.
I do. I am, which is why I'm in my AEW gear, because coming up at the top of the next hour over on the No DQ side of things, and as well as my own channel, we're going to be simulcasting that. And I'm going to try to pull that off. God help me, it's always an adventure to try to do that shit. AEW Double Nothing predictions. It's like I said, it's a full card. It's already booked. Like, oh my god, we actually do predictions in the middle of the week. And we appreciate everybody coming here and super chatting and donating.
Absolutely.
We don't mean to cut off early, but again, between this and then I've got taping to do after that. I'm never going to eat today. Apparently, it's going to be the thing today. There'll be no food ingested by Jeff Meacham today. It is what it is. So I can afford to miss a meal or two. It's all right. But we thank you. And we will definitely be back here next week at 7:00, and I will do my damn thing to make sure we can go overtime if we need to next week, because I know that I always have fun with the Greg Cherry Brand audience. You guys are my people. I love you guys.
Oh yeah, there's honestly no better audience than the Greg Cherry Brand audience.
Nope.
I know it's cliche to say when you're doing this stuff, but seriously, you guys are a bunch of fun. I love the fact that you're with us every week.
I love it.
So next week we'll be back, normal run time, because Dynamite will be back. So we will try to go all the way to 8:00.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure we're out of states at this point. So we may have to do what Josh said earlier in the show, and maybe this day in wrestling history would be a great substitute, since that's definitely up your wheelhouse, brother.
It definitely is. I know you like to do it for WTC also, but
yes, very much so.
We'll look into adding new segments. But Josh, I will see you tomorrow for the WTC Jack of All Trades taping.
Can't wait to see those things play out on TV, man.
Along with Brett, who's also watching, and
yes.
A couple other people, which I will disclose when the episode goes live. I'm not sure when these episodes are going to drop. I want to get them recorded.
Right.
I honestly want to get them recorded, and it'll probably be after my vacation in June, just because I don't want to miss a post show.
Right.
But so yeah, I'm gonna shoot for like late June to start airing these.
Right.
But I want to get as many of them canned as I possibly can.
Right. Exactly.
So tomorrow, Jack of All Trades taping. I'm excited.
Yes.
So until next week, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the donations and all of that stuff. And we will see you guys all right here next week on the Greg Cherry Show.